I was just realizing, I was talking to a few of the students here. I think while AI can augment human capability, human patience has its own limit. So people can't listen about or listen to AI for 4 or 5 hours continuously. But please bear with me. I'll try to keep it short. What I'll talk about today, can we have the slides on the screen, please? Okay, thanks. Just allow me a minute, I'll just see. Okay. Okay. So, as a consultant, I think it will be a bit boring session as opposed to what Rajat was talking here. So I won't be able to present any avatar and some of those things. So, but what I would try to do in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll try to talk about some of the things which we can relate ourselves with as citizens. So just to give you a brief introduction, so I work in the public sector consulting team of EY, and I mostly work on large government digital transformation programs, and now AI is definitely one of the biggest things that we talk about. So let me start. I just want to give some data points. So I'm sure all of you would appreciate that governments, and not only this AI revolution, but previously some speaker was talking about internet and so on and so forth. So government has always been facing those inflection points, and as I said, not now, but sort of always. And a lot of challenges that they face. Those challenges could be fiscal challenges, those challenges could be, I would say, efficiency-related challenges, citizen-related or people-related challenges. And all this happens while people like us who are citizens, when we are on the other side of the table, our expectations are also constantly growing from what government is delivering to us. So you go to a government office, you would want the service to be delivered immediately. So that's the class of experience that all of us look like. And I'll talk about some of those examples quickly. But before moving to that, just wanted to talk about a couple of data points. So we at EY, we did a survey. This was done in around 14 countries where we talked to some 500 government officials, senior bureaucrats, politicians, and some of the other government officials. And the survey results, I'll just talk about a couple of them. So around 60% or more, as you would see, the respondents agreed that AI would really impact the way the governance or the public governance is done. And not only that, more than 50% really believe that there will be a huge impact on the citizen services. Now, having said that, I have not put some of the other figures, but I'll just talk about it. Actual usage or the scaled implementations that are happening specifically on the GenAI side in government, that number was, if I remember it correctly, close to 12 to 14%. So still there's a long way to go. And most importantly, there was another survey that was done by EY. The first survey was done in a partnership with Oxford Economics. The second survey was done, which was more of a sentiment index survey, and some 15,000 citizens across those chosen countries were surveyed or they were talked to. And I think around 35 to 40% said that they have that trust in government, that if the government is using AI to deliver services, whether that level of accountability, transparency, ethics, and all those things will be taken care of. There would be inclusivity in the service delivery and so on and so forth. So while at one end of the spectrum, we are seeing that there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of talk that is happening about that, but at the other side of the spectrum, a lot needs to be done. And I'll talk about some of those things. In India also, since this is one of the areas that I personally work and I keep interacting with governments at various levels, I think first point I want to say is that at least my experience in the last 6 months to 1 year has been, there has been massive uptake of AI stroke Gen AI from a government perspective. Yes, lots of programs are still not scaled out. There are lots of pilots that are happening. There are lots of POCs, proof of concepts as we call them in consulting parlance, they are happening. But massive uptake, and this is across areas that you all could think of. You can think of areas around taxation, areas around civil aviation, areas around railways. So these are the areas where we as common citizens of the country relate with and probably interact with the government. So on one side, government is definitely, I would say, catalyzing the AI ecosystem in the country. So that's one big thing that is happening through India AI mission and all, and I'll not talk about some of those things. On the other side, as I said, at least what we are witnessing is government themselves are embracing Gen AI in a massive way, and this is across all levels of government. When I say all levels, whether it is central government, whether these are ministries, whether they are authorities, or state governments themselves, or even local bodies, so the municipal corporations and all of them, we are seeing massive interest. They are talking about AI, and not only talking now, and that's why I say the needle has moved. Now they are actually implementing it. There are lots of use cases that are getting implemented. Now, one of the things again, and I was just listening to the previous session, what Rajat was talking about. I think what we believe is, or what I believe specifically is AI, at least in the public governance side, I would say. I would not get to the other side because that's a topic I'm discussing right now. I really believe that it is there to augment the capability or the capacity of the government. There's a lot of work that goes on. We'll have some examples, but it is just not replacing any individual. It is just augmenting the capability to deliver better services to us, and probably look at some of the other things, the way the transformation can be brought in, whether it is internal efficiency improvement of the government and some of those things. And that's why we believe that there are two sets of areas where probably we need to look at it. AI is not, or GenAI is not about just looking at creating new programs on AI or developing new projects on AI. I think it is equally important. I think most of the people in this room would know that there was a program that was created by government long back that was called National E-Governance Plan, NEGP, as it is famously called as. And that program identified lots of mission mode projects, whether it's automation of government treasuries, whether it is tax systems automations, and so on and so forth. Now, the thought is that we should look at those programs also which are already running. There are large digital transformations that have happened. Now passport, you get passport, even if it is not a Tatkal passport. There are case studies, I keep reading that you get passport in 2 days. So there has been a complete transformation. Income tax, the way the returns are filed, the way the goods get cleared at custom ports, lots of digitalization has happened, and all those have been mission mode programs at some point in time. Now, how do we, so one, as I said, one aspect is let's keep looking at creating new programs where AI could be done. But the other thought is that how do we equally look at the programs that have already been running, the large transformations that have already been running, where digital is supporting them, and how do we keep infusing AI into those programs? What we see is that there the success might come a bit faster because those programs are already scaled out, and we don't have to do a proof of concept or a pilot testing every time. So that's how we look at it, and how do we really now sort of pivot our entire digital transformation the way the government does, because there are lots of, you must be hearing 2.0 programs, 3.0 programs, 4.0 programs. So some project that was done some years back, now we say it's a 2.0 program of the same project that is coming up. So how do we start? We used to talk about these things, cyber security. When the cyber security thing came, we used to talk about security first or cyber first and all those things. So how do we start pivoting our entire thought around AI first? So that's one of the key things, at least. And having said that, now we are sort of witnessing that trend also, that government is now talking about infusing AI into their existing programs. Before I go to that, just to give you some examples. So these programs and the way we are seeing the impact now, because everything has to have an impact on the livelihoods, and our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, also talks about not only ease of doing business, but ease of living also. I think the gentleman who was there in one of the other sessions, I think he has left now, he was talking about that so much population is covered under an FSA, which is Food Security Act. What is something that AI will bring to them? So I think what, at least I believe, is that AI is touching, we may not be the users of AI knowingly on everything, that yes, I am using AI, or for that matter, I'm using an avatar to do something. But there's a lot of indirect benefit that all of us, I believe, as citizens have started getting, and at some point in time will start getting of AI. And just to talk about some of those things, the way the social inclusion programs are created. How can AI help in doing a better data analysis so that the schemes are better targeted to the person, the last person in the society? So those are the things that are now really, that have started happening. This is not a theory, at least. And I'm talking about India, so this is not a theory. India is doing a lot of work and the governments are doing a lot of work. People like us, now imagine when we start filing our income tax returns, and some of you are students, you will start filing it in some point in time. Imagine that when you go to a site, it's still complicated. If you get some assistance over there that this is what I want to do, this is what my income is, can you just help me navigate through the entire form? So those are the things that have started happening now. And that's why I'm saying it's sort of covering the entire spectrum. The people who are beneficiaries of large social inclusion programs, they are also getting a lot of benefit, and I'm sure they will keep getting more benefits out of such programs. People like us who would have a different type of ask from the government, they would also start getting a lot of benefits. So again, just to say the needle is really moving, at least what my experience has been. And I also think that how do we really scale these things out? Because I think we are at a point where not doing something on these lines is not an option. But how do we really scale this out? I was hearing one of the sessions in the morning on my phone while I was traveling, and I think there was a discussion that are we the laggards in that area? So I'm an optimist. I would say no, and again, I also know that probably we'll do well. We have done very well in some of the other IT areas. We'll do equally well in the AI side also. But how do we really scale out faster? And for that, we thought that a concept like Entity.AI, and I'll just quickly take a couple of minutes to explain Entity.AI, what this concept is all about. The concept is, now entity could be a central government ministry, say Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Agriculture. Agriculture, again, you would know a lot of stuff is happening on the agri stack, a lot of AI infusion is happening in that area, and some of the other areas as well. So it could be a ministry, it could be a state. Just take an example, government of Andhra Pradesh. So AP itself is a state. So can it be AP.AI? Or it could be a municipal body for that matter. So let's take an example, NDMC, New Delhi Municipal Corporation. So NDMC.AI. So can we extend this sort of concept as an Entity.AI concept? And I'll not get into the technical details on some of those things. But imagine there's a place called Republic.AI, and there's a system called Republic.AI for all of you. You go onto that system, whatever Republic as a group has been doing on AI, whatever applications are available for all of you, whether it is on the learning side, whether it is, sorry, I don't come from this profession, so I would not know much, but whatever things, whether these are applications, whether these are knowledge bases, anything and everything related to the AI which is available or which could be made available within the Republic world ecosystem, all of that is available in one place. And that's the concept that now, in fact, we have been discussing this concept also. So we are saying that there is a platform which is a tech part. I'm not getting into that. And then there are lots of horizontal applications and vertical. And when I say horizontal and vertical, horizontal applications could be how to create a note. For those who have been interacting with government, there's a lot of file notes that get prepared. There's a lot of work on document preparation, document extraction that keeps happening within the government. So these are all horizontal apps which could be used across ministries, across departments, across states, and so on and so forth. Reporting, the way the reporting is done in government, the way the document processing is done in government. Just take an example. There's a lot of bill processing that happens in government. When government pays it to their service providers, a lot of bill processing happens. How can AI help, and how could there be some models which are common models that get created and it could be used across government ecosystem? So there are those horizontal use cases. And then there are specific vertical use cases or sectoral use cases, as we call them, which could be on healthcare, which could be on agriculture, which could be on education, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the models that we believe would really help scale out the usage of AI or GenAI in a much faster way, because there are frameworks that would be available for everyone to adopt. Now, how do we really go about this journey? And again, I'll just go back to that survey that we as a firm did. We identified what are some of those good practices, and we called that those are pioneers who are leveraging AI or GenAI. And some of the things that really get discussed, and probably our experience in working in India as well as in some of the other geographies, the western part of the world as well. So what are those things that really help us to systematically advance towards the usage of Gen AI or AI. And I think one of the foremost things is, do we think of reimagining our processes also? So there are lots of laws, acts that are there in government which are quite old. Now AI, and I'll give an example. I was working with one of the large government organizations, and and this was not related to AI or Gen AI. This was more in terms of how do we use Aadhaar to authenticate something, the good old debate. And one of the things that came up was that the act says that there have to be wet signature on those documents. Now, how do we do that? How can we move? Can we change that? So, and definitely there was a change in that, and we moved ahead on that. But again, the idea is that we need to really reimagine the processes of the government. That becomes a big thing, because that becomes a big impediment at times in actual implementation or actual usage of the AI. The other key part is that how would the government think of its tech strategy? And when I say tech strategy, again, I'll not get into the details. There are still lots of concerns about privacy of data, about safety, security concerns, how DPDP, the new act that is there, how would it impact the data security in the country? Do we use open source models, or do we use some of the other commercial models? If yes, what will be the implications, and so on and so forth. So what is the larger strategy of the government on the tech side? And then definitely, this is something you must be hearing since morning today, that is our data really ready? And if yes, what data is ready and what data is not ready? That becomes a big thing. How do we choose our battles well? Do we sort of implement everything? Do we go on a big bang approach? Do we identify these are the two most impactful things, where the cost is lower, the time to implementation is lower, and we choose our AI use cases? One of the other big things, and again, you must be hearing about it, lots of state governments have started working on it, is about how do we really get our people ready. So again, people don't have to necessarily, and again, this is both sides of the spectrum. One is more in terms of AI skills generation, job creation, and all those things. That's one part. Second is, as a user also, do we need a certain type of skills? Because as I said, that the sentiment index survey did sort of come out with a view that citizens still need to have more trust in government as far as the AI usage is concerned. So how do we, A, get the people ready for this revolution? And how do we really confront the changing risk frontier? I think this is one of the very important things. One of the other discussions I was having with some of the government organizations was about inclusivity. That we talk about responsible AI, ethical AI, and some of these things. But imagine that AI sort of, I would say, comes up with some suggestion, or Gen AI comes up with some suggestion, because you all would know that it will process the way the data already exists, or the data or the information that exists in the larger ecosystem. And it actually impacts the inclusivity of a social inclusion program. So how do we handle some of those things? What are the guardrails that need to be put? And these are all activities which have to be done in parallel. These are not sequential activities. And again, while I'm talking about some of those things, at least I do see that governments are now, across all levels, as I said, are working on these things. And the last, but not the least, is about how do we build trust with the citizens? What is the type of messaging that is going out from the government side? So again, I would say that there are lots of opportunities. Opportunities are so vast that we cannot ignore them. And again, the economic part, the economic growth part is separate. I'm not even talking about it. That's a separate subject in itself. But for the larger public governance in the country itself, how do we sort of create that ecosystem where we feel empowered and we really feel that the way the government starts using AI, we are the end beneficiaries of all those things. So I'll just sort of end by saying that the key to this entire thing is execution, and how do we really move from pilot to the impact side. And again, I just reiterate that I see actually a lot of work happening now, and I'm sure you as end beneficiaries one day, which is not far, will start realizing that what government is doing to really infuse AI into public governance. You will start seeing the benefits of all sooner than later. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I hope I didn't sort of overshoot my time. Any questions or yeah? You have a question? Yeah, sure.
You made a statement
Yeah.
that this AI is not going to replace the human being. Could you please elaborate this thing?
Okay.
India being a socialist country.
Yeah, India being the socialist, I'm myself a socialist, sir. So, so look, I'm purely talking from a public governance side. So,
Basic understanding is
yeah,
it's an intelligence
yes,
being pitched
yeah.
against the artificial intelligence.
I
There are
don't.
two
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Whatever little understanding I have, as a layman, I am definitely not the expert
Yes.
of the field. Whatever I have seen, the application of AI, sooner than later, it is going slowly to remove human elements, and artificial intelligence is going to take over the place. Whatever little I have seen, maybe this hall is to be swept, robotics will come. If it takes 5 human effort, it will be done by single machine. Whatever government missions, whatever thing is being done, earlier the same thing was being done by human beings. It will be done in more efficient manner, more recorded manner, without any corruption part of it. I agree to that extent.
Okay.
But definitely in my wisdom, it's going to eat away human.
Okay, I'll just try to address that and my view. The disclaimer that this is not my firm's view, this is my view as Anurag Dua. Sir, I believe in two things. One, there would always be country-specific guardrails. I genuinely believe in that, and I think we should have. Because the way our ecosystem works, if you go to West, if you go to a Nordic country, that ecosystem is very different. So we cannot have sort of very similar, I am not using the word AI regulation because that is not something which is sort of very well appreciated. So I'll just stay out of that. But there would be different types of implementations. And as a country, we need to really see how to infuse and where to infuse and to what extent AI will get infused, because definitely we would not want jobs to be displaced because of that. There could be, what I believe, certain jobs that might become a bit redundant. Lots of surveys you would have seen that, and again I'll not get into and quote all those things because they are surveys after all. They do say that there will be net positive impact on jobs. So probably the Times will tell that. But I do believe in one of the other things, sir, and more experientially, we have faced several such tech-related transformations in the past, in the last 30, 40 years. When computers came, there was a similar fear. When internet came, there was a fear. Now again, there would be, and rightly so, there would be some fear. So on a larger basis, I think point number one, we will have India-specific, we should have rather India-specific views that how and which sectors we implemented to what extent. Second, as I said, net positive impact. Third, specifically from a public governance side, and since I have been a practitioner in this area for the last 20 odd years, I see there's a lot of scope to really augment the capability for better citizen service delivery without really impacting the jobs at all. So that is, and I have worked in multiple sectors. I've worked in health sector, I've worked in rural development, agriculture, public finance definitely a lot. And I see there will be lots of opportunities where we are just augmenting the human capability. That's it. For them to make decisions faster, for them to get some of the efficiency gains, the way the government is working or the way the public governance is happening. So I really don't, at least in my view, I don't fear that there would be job losses as far as AI is concerned. Yeah?
I think I read a book a long time back. I can recall a lot of stuff. The world is flat. We were thinking,
yes,
such a great book. Now there's an example. We can actually push towards that.
Push towards that, yeah.
We are sitting here. We don't have to run anywhere. We can use UPI. I think it has to go on.
It has to, yeah.
Go on. It is a necessary evil now. Even
Absolutely.
an information highway, you can't take a U-turn.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to keep walking with it. Now,
Yeah, we have to keep walking with it, yeah. Yeah, because not getting into that bandwagon is not a choice.
So.
I think very interesting discussion, and discussion is endless, right?
It's endless.
What sir said that AI is going to eat out the man or jobs, right? to my little understanding, what I think this fear has already been there. For 40 years, as long as I could remember, fear रहा है जब भी कोई और आया कि job चले जाएंगे. To my little understanding, I think AI is not going to replace the man or human, but the man who knows AI will replace the person who doesn't know AI. So you rightly said that it is going to augment the human intelligence or going to make the human job easy and faster, probably the way out.
No, I really like the way you mentioned, but I personally, if you ask me, I don't even feel like that. So I think each human is individual and everyone is important. I don't think that AI can ever replace anything. Human emotions are definitely very different. I don't know. Nobody knows the direction in which the technology will move 5 years down the line.
We have seen number of titles have been replaced. They don't exist today.
Yes, that's why I'm saying so upskilling, the way the upskilling is. That's why we always talk about net positive impact. So there could be certain jobs which might get redundant, but do we see a net positive impact on the job market? So that's what at least I feel.
Sir, my one question.
Sure.
We are emerging economy, right?
Sorry?
We are emerging economy as India.
Yes. We are
We are.
still saying emerging economy. I thought
Yeah,
that.
and we are aspiring for leadership in AI also, right? But we see that most of our economy depends upon MSME and SMEs, right?
Yes.
They are not aware about all these new technologies. So how our business partners, consultants, or government policy, they are connecting the dot to make it successful?
No, I think that's happening. That's pretty much happening, because there are lots of, and since you mentioned that, I've been part of some of those programs where, so there's a lot of encouragement that is being given to lots of smaller industry players, MSMEs or micro. MSMEs is covering everything. So on how do they use technology better? And it's not about AI or GenAI. That's a topic that is in vogue. We are talking about it, but generally also overall technology usage. How do we bring more automation in the way some of those things are happening, the way their productivity gets increased or their market access is getting increased. So you would have seen that in the last few years there have been numerous initiatives which are sort of giving that fillip or catalyzing their own adoption of digital, and B, how do we use digital to provide them better market access? So that's one on the other side of the spectrum. And that's why I always think that it's not about, so today in this room we are talking about AI. What happens? We are talking about quantum and all those things. So 5 years down the line, what new thing comes up, and in this room, what is the topic of that discussion? We do not know. So the idea is that we take the way the digital has been impacting the economy. And I say, that's why I say whether it is the economic part or the social inclusion part, because for a country like us, that is equally important, I would say more important. So, and there are various programs, we are also discussing with them, and I at least I can proudly say that MSMEs are really catching up in adoption of some of those things. Definitely things will take some time. Probably, as I said, our ecosystem is a bit different. We just cannot compare ourselves to the West every time on every topic, but things will happen.
Because unless we connect all the dots, we cannot become a leader.
Now, again, I would say all the dots, or at least some of the dots are getting connected. So we have some patience, because I do have this, I get into these discussions where it is talked that we are the laggards and all those things. There might be initial uptake might be a bit slower, but I think would we win the race at some point in time? I would say yes.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day ahead.